Andy, what's the latest on Pete Alonso?
Well, Sal, from the Mets standpoint, there really is nothing new to report. And I checked for the purposes of this show what we sat here 1 week ago today and talked about. The Mets believing that the talks had reached a point in which they thought Alonso was going to likely depart and sign elsewhere, and that was their expectation. Nothing's really happened since. No meaningful talks, no progress, no non-progress. It's just like that's where it was at, and that's where it remains at. So that's the Met-related update. For Alonso, I am told today that the talks he's having with the Toronto Blue Jays are advancing. Now, I'm hearing they're at the 10-yard line. These are all metaphors, right? What that actually means. I know that that's more than a rumor that the Blue Jays are interested. They're talking. There's something really there. But I know from experience in covering these things that last 10 yards, that can have a lot of obstacles before you get into the end zone. So I'm not sitting here saying he's going to become a Blue Jay. But that's what's going on with Pete as of today. And the final thing I'll say is just that in this void of Mets Alonso news over the past 7 days, there's been this perception that won't die of no. Uncle Steve is going to come in and he's going to get this thing done. He's going to overrule that GM of his. And everything I'm hearing around this is that's not the dynamic. David Stearns is making good money to run this team, and he is empowered to run this team. And Steve Cohen is not going to meddle. If they sign Pete Alonso somehow before opening day, it's not going to be because the owner stepped in and bigfooted the president of baseball.
Just one quick follow-up there, and I think it's important because a lot of Met fans are still hanging or holding on to hope that maybe Pete will come back. The door isn't officially shut that Pete, theoretically, he could come back to the Mets at their maybe offer and still re-sign with the Mets, or where are you at with that?
Nothing's changed since we sat here last Thursday when it felt like a more dramatic day. So the door's closed when he signs with the Blue Jays or another team, right? That's the way this business works. I'll just reiterate, I guess, and it's not semantics. The accurate thing to say here is this simple. The Mets believe that Pete Alonso is going somewhere else. Did I say the Mets are certain? Did I say there's no chance? No, the Mets believe that Pete Alonso is probably not going to be a Met, and that's just where this situation's been sitting for 7 days.
What does that mean for Pete Alonso? Do you think that plays into the equation now that Santander is off the board for the Mets?
Well, I don't know, Gary, if the contract is going to be relevant. Obviously he plays the outfield, but, in terms of offensive players, his AAV after some of the deferred comp was as low as $14 million I saw, which is really an incredible number. I think the more relevant number is maybe the $90 million of total that he signed, $92 million, whatever that was. But in terms of whether Toronto, which was a rumored destination spot for Alonso, and either they would move Vladdy Jr. over to third or even consider trading Guerrero, that's out of the equation now, I think, with Toronto. They don't need, at least their opinion is, they say they're going to be in on the offensive side, but it doesn't seem like they're in for Pete Alonso at this point. It changes what they're looking for. So, I think another team that may have had interest in Pete is off the board. Going back to what Anthony was saying, now you start looking at, okay, well, is it the Angels? Is it the Giants? Where's the mystery team that the Mets are supposedly competing for his services?
All right, you mentioned Vladdy Guerrero Jr., and there have been, whispers out there that the Mets may be trying to get a deal done with the Blue Jays for Guerrero and make him their first baseman of the current regime and of the future. Is there a match to be made there, in your opinion, Jim?
I think it's a really good fit. The issue that I'm hearing in Toronto right now, they're still pursuing a deal, even though it's less likely they're going to be able to get one done. And because of the Santander signing, they're more inclined to hold on to Vladdy Jr. here, at least for the year. And if they're out of it, they could always trade him at the deadline. So it doesn't seem like they're motivated at the moment to trade him.